All right, teens are going to take risks. How do we know that? Because we were all a teenager at one time and we took risks. I'm sure that all of you could tell a story or two, right? Remember the Tide Pod Challenge and the Hot Coil Challenge? Well, there's another type of challenge that's happening in Alabama where young people are including those who are infected with COVID-19. You attend a get-together and the first person who gets COVID from the party wins money. Understandably, that has people concerned with this, okay? And this is what Blanca Cobb and I are talking about this morning. And Blanca, I think as adults, we think, what in the world are these people thinking, participating in dangerous activities? And yet we forget where we came from, right?
Absolutely. What happens with teenagers and young adults is that their brains are not fully developed until around their mid-20s. So what this means is that the prefrontal cortex, part of that frontal lobe, isn't completely developed, and what that is responsible for are really forward thinking and consequences and impulse control. So hypothetically speaking, kids get the idea, yeah, something bad can happen, but they don't relate it to themselves. This is why they have this aura of invincibility where they feel like they're Superman or Wonder Woman, and bad things always happen to somebody else and not them. They just don't understand those consequences yet. That's why they don't relate to those risks. And also think about, there's a big transition from high school to adulthood, and a lot of times kids are out of the home when they're a young adult. And what are they doing? They're making these big decisions, whether they're living on their own or they're in college, whether to study or not study, romantic relationships, or even paying bills. So a lot's happening during this time period for them.
All right, so let's talk about how all of this gets kind of bigger even than probably what it is, because social media, it just spreads everything, right? And so there's a specific role that social media plays in these kinds of challenges.
And one has to do with speed. So if you think about it, I mean, you can just press a button and that information spreads all over the place, like all over the world, almost instantaneously. And the number of people reached is a tremendous amount of people also. A lot of it has to do with popularity, and they don't want to miss out. They want to be part of that in crowd. And think about it, you can become internet famous if you succeed and win one of these types of challenges.
All right, and we're not saying we're giving these kids a pass or anything like that, but at the same time, we're kind of like, okay, we see it. Let's talk about it.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And that's exactly what we'll talk about in the next hour. But yes, you bring up a really good point, Tanya. It's not that we're giving anyone a free pass, it's that they need to become more aware, and that's where adults, parents come in.
Right, okay. All right, so we are going to continue this conversation with Blanca on her Facebook page as well as in the next half hour as well. Just search Blanca Cobb, body language expert.